Alright, now after the last couple videos I've posted about Battlefield, let's lighten things up and talk about what's coming up next in Season 2 and beyond. Because as tough as I've been on the game, there's a few updates and patches coming down the road I'm pretty excited for, which DICE has been starting to talk about, and they've also just validated all of our concerns. Emitting audio, netcode, visibility, and so on are all real issues of concern even for the devs. So whether it be incoming improvements to progression, Battlefield Labs being added directly into the main game, or a limited time mode I'm actually interested in, the next few weeks have some interesting stuff in the works, and some mechanics I hope end up sticking around, with DICE expanding over time. So with all that being said, if you like in-depth reviews and discussions about all things Battlefield, drop a like and hit subscribe, and let's talk about the future of Battlefield 6. Now, kicking things off, let's talk about what DICE currently says they're focusing on. As of this week, DICE revealed via a couple community updates that the team is currently focusing on improvements to movement, progression, TTK, networking, and Portal, saying that the feedback going into Season 2 has been positive around map design and new content, but gameplay systems and balance are still up for debate, with principal game designer Florian mapping out the team's focus in a recent update. And in that same update, Florian also went deeper into several of the core systems that directly impact how Battlefield 6 actually feels moment to moment. Things like hit reg, netcode, time to kill, soldier visibility, and even audio clarity are all being looked at together as a whole. All issues I've been ranting about for months, so to be honest, I think those of us complaining about the game feel pretty validated. According to the devs, a lot of these systems are tightly connected, networking affects how time to death is perceived, visibility affects how quickly you can react to threats, and even animation alignment can influence those frustrating TTD moments. The team also says they've already delivered some improvements since release, but they're continuing to refine things carefully because adjusting one system too quick can create new issues somewhere else, which is where Battlefield Labs comes into play, letting them test large gameplay changes before rolling them fully into the live game. But getting back to Season 2, the devs say they're happy with the gameplay of Contaminated, how the map flows, and how players are enjoying the new content, specifically the new Little Bird. However, they seem to acknowledge the backlash and said that changes to movement and balance could be coming soon, but they want to let things settle before making any new sweeping changes, especially while the team continues stabilizing networking, hit reg, and overall combat clarity. And overall, I agree. I think Contaminated is a pretty solid addition. Not my favorite map, but in general features a solid flow, diversity of environments, metas, and tactics. Thus, it achieves the core objective of a Battlefield map, player choice. In regards to movement, I personally like the recent movement changes, but the way players are punished in some instances and not others feels really inconsistent. Slipping off a curb, firing too aggressively, or being near an explosion can render a player incredibly inaccurate in some situations, but jumping out of a window or bunny hopping around corners can still allow an accurate kill. Also, in general, I think assault rifles need to reward tap firing more with faster recoil reset, falling from heights needs to affect aim harder on impact, and SMGs need a huge reduction in bullet speed to keep them from outpacing ARs at distance. But in general, I'm glad the devs at least seem open to tracking our feedback on these balance issues. Aside from balance, DICE still seems to be going about progression very cautiously, saying they'll keep refining weapon XP, but in my eyes, we really just need faster weapon progression with larger prestige-style rewards built out on the far end, thus allowing players to build a weapon fast and then use it to achieve long-term milestones in the form of cosmetics, currencies, and skins. Finally, with these adjustments, DICE mentions that the team is working on refining the ping system with changes to how long players stay marked from drones and how ping visibility functions. But personally, the one feature I'm dying to have, especially in RedSec, is the ability to change your squad mates' individual ping colors. in the heat of battle, it's just so hard to see the numbers, and I'd much rather have a color or even perhaps a shape that players can change for themselves. I think Warzone and Helldivers are great examples of how to do this, using players' names or unique colors to create visual distinctions. Now, moving on from patches and getting into content, while I think most of us were pretty underwhelmed with the VL7 gas mechanic, I gotta say, the upcoming Nightfall event has really got my attention. Not because this single event will be amazing, but the fact it lays the groundwork for DICE to implement nighttime versions of other environments. So, starting March 17th, we'll get our first taste of these night vision operations in the form of the Nightfall event alongside the game's next map, Hoggental, a tight, mostly indoor environment that looks like it'll be in the same vein of something like Operation Locker. And while I know a small interior map isn't what the fanbase wants, the combination of a new grindy CQB map, NVGs, and a couple new weapons in the form of the CZ and VZ Scorpions got me pretty hyped. And hopefully between DICE's trial of night modes between Hoggental and Gauntlet, we can see the modes stick around and eventually get more maps as well as RedSec Nightfall as a rotating event. And speaking of RedSec, the devs have made a kinda wild decision to put RedSec solos into Battlefield Labs and allow it to go public in the main game, saying they want players to try it, drop feedback, and give them time to refine. Now, honestly, I have no idea why this is such a huge struggle. This is a mode that has been a staple in pretty much every other Battle Royale, and I feel they kinda missed the train on this one when RedSec released. Either way, it's nice to see the updates, and after the RedSec testing, refinement to core mechanics, and the addition of night modes, we should be in a good position to wrap up Season 2 with the Hunter and Prey update starting April 14th. This final chapter of the season will bring in a few nice updates, like an extension to the Battle Pass, a new MRAP-type vehicle, a new melee weapon, and new portal content. But more importantly, we'll see the return of battlefield operations with the limited-time Operation Augur that traverses between Contaminated and Hoggental. Now, I'm not holding my breath, but if they can actually resurrect operations with that classic Battlefield 1 style storytelling, giving each round voiceovers, narratives, and world building, I think that's a massive cornerstone this game should build on. Imagine future seasons adding new maps that attach to pre-existing locations, taking base maps like Cairo and giving them new life inside of an operation with full-on narrative dialogue. Honestly, probably one of the highest potential aces up DICE's sleeve that they could realistically pull. They're not gonna fundamentally change RedSec, Gauntlet and competitive ambitions are totally dead, so bringing back one of Battlefield's most iconic large-scale narrative multiplayer experiences where they could leverage pre-existing assets could be such an easy win. And to be honest, that's why I'm making this video. I talk a lot of shit about this game, because I know how epic this franchise can be, and even the devs admit to the game having core issues. Watching Battlefield get the Madden treatment after growing up through Battlefield 3, watching cities collapse in Battlefield 4, and experiencing war like never before in Battlefield 1, I can't stand watching the biggest budget, biggest team, and biggest potential this franchise ever had go to waste. Creating night vision environments, grinding through narrative operations, and fleshing out the sandbox with content and mechanics alike is what makes Battlefield special. So here's to hoping between all these Season 2 updates with remastered maps on the horizon, we start looking at the positives instead of how DICE continues to drop the ball. But guys, let me know what you're most excited about moving forward, and for everything else Battlefield, stay tuned and subscribe, and as always, thank you guys for watching.